Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, everyone, who's already started to show up. We're seeing the comment section starting to liven up. A lot of people are saying, we are here, we are waiting, we are excited, which is all a very, 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 very thrilling. We're so excited to have you here for our first ever ALX Pathway session being posted on YouTube. For those of you who are from one of our 8 wonderful market cities, you probably would have been able to attend some in-person sessions already, and I'm sure that you would have learned a lot. But for those of you who may not have been able to attend those sessions, today is your lucky day. We will be having a session that hopefully gets to be able to start getting into the nitty-gritties of Pathway. Mr. Kwesi, if you could go to our next slide so that I can give our learners a prompt on what we are doing and what we need you to do today. So hello, everyone. Thank you so much. Please let us know in the comment section as I'm going through what we're going to be doing today. Just where are you from, right? We want to know that we are from a multicultural organization across the whole of Africa. We know there's a wonderful tapestry of individuals who take great pleasure in using some of our courses. So we always want to know where you guys are coming from. We love how some people even go as far as talking about the state that they're from, which is awesome. We want to know all of it. And then also, in addition to that, what are you today? Are you just a curious person who keeps on seeing ALX Pathway bombarded on your Google and your YouTube and your Facebook and your LinkedIn, and you're always being told this wonderful thing? Are you a curious person who's just wanting to find out more about this program, or are you already a person who's applied and enrolled? Or are you someone who's currently in the application and is currently thinking, should I finish this thing? Or how do I finish this thing? Don't worry, we've got you covered. Or are you a parent, an uncle, a friend, any person who is in touch with a person who's of a recent high school graduate or that recent high school graduate age, who's just here to listen and learn about more about this pathway experience that has just recently launched here at ALX. And of course, today, what we're going to be going through is a deep overview of what the ALX Pathway opportunity is. And then we're going to do a deep dive in 2 very critical places. One will be the application so that people know how to apply for the Pathway program and what the application is about. And then, of course, our very, very exciting Pathway Foundations program, which we will be doing. But before I get into that, I just want to be able to introduce our 2 speakers for today. I would just ask them to unmute themselves as I call them up and they tell us who they are. And then after those introductions, that's enough from me, enough warming up, and we can just get straight into it. So I would like to start with Talent. Talent, wonderful, wonderful human being. You can see her name is already there. She's a talented person. How are you, Miss Talent? Please introduce to us who you are and what you do at ALX.
Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to have you on this webinar. My name is Talent Tatenda. I'm based in Mauritius. I'm proudly Zimbabwean. I'm part of the selection team here at SAND/ALX Africa. I am really excited. I'm also curious, Kuda. I'm also curious. I want to find out what applicants want to find out. So I'm curious because I designed the selections journey, and I'm also constantly monitoring and tracking how we can make the selection experience very great and wow, and make sure that you reach the end mile in terms of your application. So that's what I do, and I'm excited about this session.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Talent. And last but not least, internally we call him Chale. But externally, I'm sure he's got a much more professional and profit. And Kwesi, please introduce yourself to the good people and tell us what you do at ALX.
Thanks, Kuda. Hi, everyone. So excited to meet all of you and hear from you today. My name is Kwesi Edidako. I am from Ghana, but I currently live in Senegal. And I am the head of the Pathway program. So everything that those of you who are applying and come to join us will experience, I've kind of had a hand in, especially on the curriculum side, which is a lot of my background. I'm very, very excited to walk you all through everything about the Pathway today.
Fantastic. So as you can hear, we've got 2 of the most qualified people, the person who put together the program and the person who's in charge of designing the experience for you to participate in the program. So like I said, enough from me. Please enjoy your sessions and make sure you have your questions ready. Chale, over to you, sir. let us know all things Pathway.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So, for those of you who may be familiar with ALX and our ecosystem, you'll know that we are a very tech-focused organization, and we have generally spend time with people who are a little bit older. The Pathway program is an opportunity for us to connect with slightly younger people. So those of you who are recent high school graduates in Africa, we want to essentially provide a way for you to access degree programs in a new and innovative way. So we essentially are partnering with universities all over the globe, and we are working on access to scholarship opportunities, finance partners, things like that, to make all of these programs more accessible and affordable. And then we connect all of you to it. So I'm sure a lot of you are curious, all right, so if I apply to this Pathway program, what is it actually, what happens? So first, just a quick overview. The 3 steps of the Pathway program essentially are, number 1, of course, you join. So you join our ecosystem, you get access to our hubs, and we're going to go into a lot more detail on all of these in just a few minutes. You join us, and then after that, it's preparation. So there is an 8-month program broken into 2 terms of 15 weeks each, where you go through something called the Pathway Foundations. And we're going to do a very deep dive into the Pathway Foundations so you know everything that you'd be learning. And the main point of the Pathway Foundations is to make sure that you are prepared for your next steps into university and beyond. Now, ALX's history is a lot in career development, making sure that young people are ready for the place of work. And so we are applying those same skills to getting people ready for the place of learning in universities and colleges. And so we want to be a connector to those universities and colleges. And then finally, of course, it's access to our partner universities through our funding partner network and scholarship opportunities, and also some access to special pricing to some of those institutions. We want to make sure that you have the best opportunities possible. So, diving a little bit one step deeper into this, you apply to the ALX Pathways. You, of course, need to meet the selection criteria, which Talent is going to talk to you all about. You fulfill our onboarding and Caribou requirements. Now, those of you who are not familiar but are living in one of the 8 cities where we have hubs in Africa, you may be familiar with the Caribou ceremony, which is a huge online and in-person event where we welcome everyone into our community and also try to share what is special about our community, share what our expectations are of you, and make sure your expectations of us are also very well aligned before you get started in a program. And you do a lot of that in our beautiful city hubs, which again, we'll talk about in a little bit. After that, you go through the 8 months of the Pathway Foundations. And then during that period, you start to apply to university programs via our network of global partners. You can apply during that time also for scholarships. And then finally, you complete the Pathway Foundations and then go on to the partner university. Now, these are the features of the Pathway program. Now, we've talked about the ALX Pathway Foundations. And again, after we talk about selections, we'll go course by course and what goes into each of those. We've talked about the community also a little bit. I think this is one of the strongest elements of the ALX programs in general, and will be especially important ALX Pathways as we invite younger learners and also to an extent their parents and guardians into our community. So we are broadening our community to be able to make it even more diverse and more robust. Now, there's also university application preparation that has been embedded into our programs to make sure that you have the best chance you can of getting into one of these universities. We've talked about having scholarship and funding opportunities. The dedicated tech hubs are a huge part of our learning model. They're state-of-the-art. They're in 8 African cities. They've got high-speed broadband, stable electricity, and they're dedicated meeting spaces. Because we know that one of the biggest struggles around the continent and in many parts of the world really is just access to reliable internet and a dedicated space where you can get work done. So part of the reason why our Pathway program is being offered to people who live in these 8 cities is because access and engagement with these hubs is critical to the learning journey. We do not consider our hubs as add-ons. They are very much a central part of how we learn and how we build community. So really important. And as we're speaking about community, there's lots of networking and community events, both online and in person. We have a lot of experience hosting online sessions like this one. but also in-person events, which we encourage all of you, if you haven't already, to go and visit in one of our hub cities. And then finally, there are perks and rewards. There are reward points. There's a legacy points program that we are going to be running during that time, so that the more you participate and the more you engage with learning, the more opportunities open up to you. And this is a really important and exciting part of the journey for us. Okay, so that was a brief overview of the program. From here, I'm going to pass to Talent, who's going to walk you through the selection journey, and then I'll be back to talk more about Pathway Foundations. Talent, over to you.
Thank you, Kwesi. So what does it take to be part of this awesome program? I'll begin first with the selection criteria and enrollment requirements that you need to meet to be able to participate in the program. So to qualify for the program, you must be of African origin. That's first and foremost, because ALX Africa programs are for Africans by Africans. And the age is 18 to 34 years. Like Kwesi mentioned, we want to make sure that we are catering to the younger audience as much as possible. So we want to make sure that we are targeting recent high school graduates. So the educational background that you need to meet is essentially being a high school graduate. So if you have completed your high school certificate or are in the process of actually acquiring it, you can actually get started on the application and make sure that by the time you get to the university application stage, your certificate is in place. And then for location, you have to be based in an ALX city hub, as Kwesi mentioned, because there are perks associated with people that are based in these 8 city hubs that we have across the continent. For resources, you need to have access to a computer and stable internet connection, because the learning management system that we use will be online. So you need to have a computer or access to a computer at least, and stable internet connection. Then for the enrollment requirements, you need to be able to speak and write in English proficiently. So the application process that I'm going to take you through will also cover a bit about the assessments that you'll go through to cover this. And then you need to commit 50 hours per week for the entirety of the 8 months of the Pathway Foundations. So it's 8 months long, so you need to dedicate 50 hours. So it's a long game. And then payment of the full access fee or the first monthly installment is required before you get started with the Pathway Foundations. Then moving right along to just give you a snapshot of the application process, you begin first by starting your application. Actually, you begin first by going on the ALX website. You visit our ALX website. There's a dedicated page for this program. You go on the Pathway webpage. You read through to just make sure that you have a better understanding of what the program entails before you dive right into the application. So that's very important. And then once you have understood the requirements, and if you see that this is a fit for you, you're interested in the program, click apply on any of the buttons that you see there on the website. There are several spots as you run down through that Pathway webpage for you to start your application. Then the step 2, once you've clicked the apply button, you'll be taken to our admissions portal to create your account and to start the application process. Step 3, you start your application. Just to forewarn you, the application is 100 minutes long. It seems like it's a long time. We don't expect you to finish this application in one sitting, so don't worry about that. You can save your application, come back to it. It's very important to save, so don't forget that tip. Save your work before you log off, because we also understand that you need to take your time to gather some of the responses that we are asking you in this application process. Once you've completed your application, that's step 4, you will receive an email from us asking you to confirm your participation. So that is step 5 on the last stage, at least on the selection journey. You need to confirm your participation by clicking the button that comes on your email that states, it's a green button that says enroll now. Once you click on that button, you will see on your admissions portal, once you log back in, that your status on the admissions portal changes to confirmed. And yeah, so this is a very important step for you. Make sure that you enroll now, because we've got a couple of applicants right now at the moment that are sitting on accepted but have not actually crossed over the line to confirm their participation. So this is something that's very important. So before the program starts, you will receive an email from our learning team with next steps on when the program will start. Then the roadmap on the application itself, what is required, the kind of details that you need to gather just to get you prepped up. So the application starts when you click on the website, you sign up, you get your account confirmation on your email, which you need to confirm within 24 hours. This is very important because if you don't do this, you might lose out on all of the responses you're making in your application and might need to start over the application again. So please make sure that you don't skip this important part of confirming your account. You need to fill in your biographical data. So this is mainly personal information, your name, your last name, where you're based, and so on. And then eligibility confirmation, the first part that I spoke about for you to qualify. Are you meeting those requirements? Do you have the age? Do you have the high school certificate? Do you have a computer and internet access? Then there are assessments. So for the assessments, there are 3 of them. There's an English assessment, there's a logical reasoning assessment, and the last assessment is a basic computer skills to just test your computer literacy skills. For the English proficiency, it's very important, like I mentioned, enrollment requirements, you have to write or speak in English proficiently. Actually, sorry, write and speak in English proficiently. So those are the 3 assessments that we have. You have to pass all of the 3 to proceed to the next stage. If you're not confident enough of any of these skills, please visit our pre-application resources on the selection process section of the website to get resources on how you can just polish up your skills before you complete this section. And then the next stage will be the personal statement. So for the personal statement, you're only required to complete a personal statement that's only 200 words. So just 200 words. The standard personal statement requires 1,500 to 1,800 words. So we are actually preparing applicants for the university application that will come after Pathway Foundations. So the personal statement is important, an important step for you to get started on familiarizing yourself on how you can get to complete this personal statement. The last question on the essay questions is the sponsorship question, where you provide your motivation on why you should be selected and participate in the program, because our programs are subsidized. They are not very expensive, so they are partially sponsored by some of our partners, great partners like Mastercard Foundation. And then the last step would be the submission. The submission, you submit your application, then you do the confirmation that I spoke about. At this stage, you're now a pre-enrolled learner. What I mean by this is there's another step that you need to complete, which I will mention on the selection decision slide. But I just wanted to mention a couple of traits that you need to have as you're doing this application. Remember, I mentioned that it's 100 minutes long. So this is an initial step in the university journey. The Pathway Foundation's application is actually a stepping stone that's preparing you for the university application and for your future career as well. It's a test of endurance. We want to see, will you be able to see through the 8 months of the program? Will you be able to commit 50 hours per week? So this is only 100 minutes. So it gives us a good picture of whether you are a person that will endure throughout the program. It's also a resilience assessment to test your grit and resilience early on. And then it's just overly holistic preparation to make sure that you are successful, not only in the application, but also as you pursue the program once you get started. So we are mentally preparing you for future challenges. Then on the selection decision, the selection process is quite straightforward. We do not make you wait. After submitting your application, you'll be notified of your enrollment status within 24 hours. If you're granted acceptance, if you are enrolled, all of these things, we'll mention them to you right away. So there's immediate enrollment. Qualified applicants are enrolled immediately upon acceptance after submission. Then for disqualification, same thing. If you fail one of the tests, we'll notify you that you have failed and will not be able to proceed to the next stage. Then next steps after enrollment for those that are successful, in order to start onboarding on the program, this is a very critical step. The reason why I spoke about being a pre-enrolled learner is because you will need to pay the access fee of $40 either in full or the first $5 of the monthly installments that you have across the 8 months by the 6th of October, because the program starts on the 21st of October. So you should make sure that your payment is done by the 6th so that you're set up on the systems and so on. So this gives us ample time to do this. The last important reminders that I have for you, I will stress on this one once again. This is a sample email that you'll get in your inbox. So that's the green button that I was talking about. Please make sure that you click enroll now and you confirm your participation in the program. And then once again, when you visit the website, make sure that you just go through the Pathway webpage to understand the program before you get started on the application process, to make sure that all of your questions are answered. In case of any challenges as you go along the application process, please feel free to engage Leah, our experienced AI assistant, or raise a ticket to get assistance on any blockers or barriers that you're facing as you complete the application. Thank you, Kwesi. Over to you.
Nice. Thank you so much, Talent. Hope everyone is feeling a bit of energy from that selection process. It's a little bit rigorous, but we think it's a good amount to indicate, your future participation in the program. So yeah, this is just a quick summary of what we've heard so far. You need to complete the Pathway Foundations, which we're about to jump into in a lot of detail. You need to pay that annual all-access fee, and you need to meet the eligibility criteria. I think one thing to note that's really important about the All Access fee is that this program is actually worth so much more. There's so much work and effort that has gone in from people all over the globe to make this possible for you, and we are able to offer it at these low prices thanks to the generosity of our partners. So we hope you're able to take advantage of this opportunity. So we've talked about Pathway Foundations. We've mentioned it so many times. I'm sure the question at the top of a lot of people's minds is, what are the courses? What is the Pathway Foundations anyway? So let's spend some time now going through it. So there are 6 courses in the Pathway Foundations that are going to be spread over 2 15-week terms. In the first term, you will take the Foundations of Entrepreneurship and College Algebra. Then in the second term, there will be Business Finance, Introduction to Venture Creation, Introduction to Statistics, and Introduction to Software Engineering. Now, as you know, the ALX is heavily rooted in tech, and so with this suite of skills, we believe is the most holistic we could find to be able to prepare anyone for a degree in technical fields. Now, you are not necessarily precluded from taking only technical programs, but of course, we have a huge preference for the software engineering and data sciences of the world. So let's jump into these courses one by one and just spend a little bit of time understanding what they are. So first off is the Foundations in Entrepreneurship. So this course is something, for those of you who are familiar with ALX, we have something called the Foundations course, where we teach essentially the 8 meta skills. And these 8 meta skills were built on a lot of research through the AL group to try and understand what are the most effective traits of people who do well in the professional and wider world. And this is outside of even your technical skills. So things like leading yourself, leading others, thinking critically, viewing opportunities around you through entrepreneurial thinking, managing complex tasks. So some of these types of skills are what we engage in on this. Now, this is our heaviest course. It's 15 weeks like the others, but will take up most of your time in term 1. And these are some of the objectives that we're talking about. So things like scoping, structuring, and planning. So if you are faced with a problem, how might you break it down into its component parts in order to solve it in a way that makes sense? If you're working in a team of people, How do you utilize empathy and understanding diverse perspectives to be able to reach the most optimal outcomes? If you are faced with challenges that seem insurmountable, and there are so many of those around us everywhere we look, how might you change your view to see the world through the lens of an entrepreneur, always looking for opportunities, always looking for ways to be innovative in the way that you solve problems? So there's a lot of challenges, there's a lot of both individual and teamwork during the foundations in entrepreneurship that helps prepare you for some of the more collaborative and holistic elements of a university experience after you leave this program. Next is college algebra. So this one as well, on all courses in this 15 weeks, and so some of them run concurrently. And some of the courses, some of what you're going to understand here is the basics of algebra. So if you want to be proficient in software engineering or in data science, what are some of the mathematical basics that you need to have at your fingertips so that you go into them? I'm sure many of you will be familiar with going into coding classes, or some of you may already have university degrees or have spent time in university and have experienced kind of introductory software engineering courses that assume you have all the mathematics required. And so you might struggle a little bit in the beginning. In order to eliminate that, we are making sure that you have a really strong background here. If this is something you're already familiar with, it should be a breeze for you. If it's something you're not familiar with, it will help to level the playing field so that when you're going into software engineering, data science, any other technical field, you are able to stand toe to toe with other people who have more of a background. And you can see some of the things that we cover in that course. So graphical and algebraic methods, linear equations, factor polynomials, arithmetic and geometric sequences. These are all some of the fundamentals that you need to have at your fingertips as you are going through any kind of technical degree. So those two that I've just covered are what will be covered in term 1. Now we're going to move on to the courses that will be covered in term 2. In term 2, the first one is going to be business finance. Now, one of the refrains, and I've been working in education, both in higher education mostly for the past decade, and one of the things I've heard the most from people who have been to traditional universities is that they graduated and they did not feel like they had enough technical, financial know-how to engage properly with the world. We at ALX and in the AL group in general feel that this is a really important skill set to make you versatile. So things like understanding financial strategies, interpreting basic financial statements, assessing investment opportunities, and also understanding the importance of ethical behavior in finance. These are all going to be very, very key to not only the pathway foundations and the program and the university program beyond, but for your life, as you have to engage with finances, no matter where you are in life, this is something, as long as you're adulting, as we are all attempting to do, it's something that you need to do. So we are very happy to have this in our core program so that everyone who comes in is able to engage really well with business finance. Next is Introduction to Venture Creation. So if the foundations in entrepreneurship is more the mindset of an entrepreneur, Introduction to Venture Creation is really about the practice of being an entrepreneur. And when I say entrepreneur, I don't want you to think, oh, well, if I'm not trying to start a business, then this isn't for me. No. For us, entrepreneurship is essentially a state of being. It is a way of viewing the world. So even if you work in a company, it's possible to be extremely entrepreneurial. And so this course is all about that mindset, of course, but also about assessing market opportunities, how to create a new venture from scratch. And so this could be a social venture, a for-profit venture, or even a venture within an already existing institution, something we call intrapreneurship. Using relevant technology tools, and of course, creating the almighty pitch deck. Anyone in the room who is an entrepreneur will know that a lot of what you do is conveyed through pitch decks. And so we have you practice a bit. And throughout all your courses, you'll practice this. But in Introduction to Venture Creation, you really kind of go much deeper into how you create a good pitch deck, why you do. And for those of you who are familiar with ALX Ventures and are familiar with our entrepreneurship network, you'll know the quality of the programming that's coming into this course. Then we also have the Introduction to Statistics. So this is the second of our mathematical basics. We already would have covered college algebra in term 1. In this term, we round out your skill set with an Introduction to Statistics. And what goes into this? So the fundamental principles of descriptive and inferential statistics, summarizing, analyzing, and interpreting data sets, and essentially using critical and problem-solving skills on data sets. Now, this is an absolutely critical piece of any data scientist or software engineer's toolkit. And we are proud of the way that we've also built these courses. We try to contextualize them very much to various African contexts. So there are problems and data sets that will be very familiar to you, that you are able to now play around with, manipulate data a little bit, and see what kind of insights you can draw from those stats in order to make decisions about the future. So really, really important course again. And then finally, the last course in here is an introduction to software engineering. So it's interesting. We are ALX. We are known for coding and for data science for software engineering. Nothing I've spoken about so far has directly been coding. Everything that you're doing is all about building yourself up as a well-rounded young professional, young person who's applying to university, both internally, externally, and some of your technical skills. Introduction to software engineering is where you now start to dig into the very basics of coding. And so the fundamentals of software engineering, even the professional elements of proposals and recommendation reports. We'll develop some simple programs using Scratch. And for those of you who are not familiar with Scratch, it is a tool built by MIT to help young people learn how to code in very logical and visual ways. So we leverage that in our intro to software engineering course. Flowcharts, breaking down complex tasks, and essentially all of these together. And so let me actually just go back here. All of these together are what we call the pathway foundations. All of these together are what make up the core of what prepares you for the next step of your university application and degree. So that is all. After software engineering, that is the end of the presentation for now. Thank you all so much for listening. We spent a bit of time going through, of course, overview of the program, the structure of the program, and the selections. Now we're going to turn it over to you for questions. Thanks so much for listening.
Thank you so much, Kwesi and Talent, for taking us through Pathway. As you were going, of course, you guys weren't able to see just how many questions were flowing, and I'm really excited to start getting the questions coming in and seeing some of the answers that you guys are going to have for our people. And something that I forgot to mention at the beginning of our stream is that we also have a lot of our city representatives on the call. So if anyone wants to ask a question that is specific to the city that you're from or the country that you're from, we also have people here who can assist in asking that question. So Kwesi and Talent, I hope you guys are ready. You even had your first question before you started speaking. So just want to recognize Tony Kamande, who asked our first question. And the first question was, he says, I noticed from the website that year 1 leads to a certificate, year 2 to a diploma, and year 3 to a degree. I would appreciate if you could confirm this structure. I think Kwesi has a question for you, sir.
It is, and thanks for your question, Tony. So yes, for those who complete the ALX Foundations, Pathway Foundations, they will get a certificate of completion, which essentially is a marker that you have gone through and passed all the requirements that we've set for you. The diploma and degree are part of the university partnerships. And so once you go onto a university partner, you get a fully accredited degree from one of the partners in our network. And so hopefully that helps clarify things. Depending on what country you're applying to, some of them use diplomas as a second degree. Some other countries call it an associate degree at the end of the second year. And then once you complete, of course, your full degree, you get your degree through our university partners. Hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. So just to confirm, so if I do my first year, I can get a certificate. My second year, I can get a diploma. And my third year, that's when I then lead off to the different partner institution to be able to get my degree? Or did I say that correctly, or was I slightly wrong?
No, so after the first 8 months, you get your certificate. So that's in the first year. Then you move on to our university partners, and they are the ones who confer diplomas and degrees. We do not confer diplomas and degrees. We confer a certificate of completion, and our partners are the ones who will give you everything you need.
Fantastic. Thank you for that clarification, Kwesi. We have another question from Cindy Ofo, and I think Cindy is probably going to ask a question that's general for a lot of us. So I'll take her question as it is, but I would like to generalize it. She says that, so if I'm not in Accra, does that mean that I cannot apply? And I think we can extend that to the other 7 cities which we operate from. So if she is not from the city in question of the country that she's living in, is she not able to apply? Talent, I think that's a question for you, madam.
Yes, unfortunately, you have to be based in any of the city hubs. So, for example, in Nigeria, I know that they have, aside from Lagos, they've got Port Harcourt, they've got Abuja. So those people can actually qualify for the program. But if there's no hub in the location that you're based in, unfortunately, you will not be able to participate in the program. And then, yes, I think the other cities, yes, Morocco is another example. There's Casablanca and there's Rabat. I think I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly. So those 2 cities do qualify. But it's Egypt, Ethiopia, Kenya, South Africa, Rwanda. You have to be based in the specific city hubs because they don't have multiple locations, or their multiple locations are based in that one city that the hub that our city teams are in. So yes, unfortunately, we can't extend to other cities.
But just to clarify, oh, sorry, Kwesi, you wanted to carry or add something to that?
Yeah, just to clarify that this is something that we are very much thinking about for our first cohort as we start out this program. Of course, in the future, we'd love to be able to go to more cities and more locations. So for this first cohort in October, that is the case, as Talent has just mentioned. But look out for any more news in the future.
Okay. So for the start, you would have to be from one of our hub cities in order for you to apply, but there is scope moving forward to be able to open it up and give access to more places. Thank you for that. I think that should be sufficient in answering that. Now we have a cluster of questions I would like to group for you guys, and I'll ask this to either of you. And this is around payment. So we have a couple of payment questions, starting from how are we paying for the access fee? There's another one that's asking about when do we start paying for the access fee? And there's another one that's more specific saying, does the payment portal open on October 6th, or does it open some days before and then we are notified about it? So I guess if you could just give a top line summary of payment, I think it will be sufficient in answering those 3 questions and the few more that are related to that.
Absolutely. And for that, I will invite Pete Kropman, who is working on all things payments, who has joined us here. So thanks so much for joining, Pete.
No problem. Thanks, Kwesi. Thanks for your questions, guys, around payments. I understand the desire for clarity here. So I might forget one of the questions here, but regarding how do I make...
Sorry, Pete, so I can help you. So essentially, just if you just give an overview of payment, when does payment start? How do payments happen? There's also some questions from people who've already paid and they want to know what now happens. So if you could just give an overview on payment in general, I think that would be sufficient. If there's anything that you leave out, I will ask you follow-up questions.
Thanks, Kuda. Great. So let's start with how do I make payments? And essentially, we've done a lot of laying the groundwork across Africa this year, ready to partner with a bunch of different what are called payment gateways. And so pretty much regardless of where you find yourself, it's highly likely that we have a payment method that is going to work for you. So whether you want to pay us, if you've got a bank card of some sort, or if you want to go and make a bank transfer, or if you want to pay in cash, or if you want to pay using mobile money, all of those options are kind of seamlessly available to you in the payment kind of platform that we've built that leverages off these other payment gateways that help us execute that. Regarding when you need to make a payment, so the first payment is due by the very latest, the 6th of October, and as Talent was saying earlier, that you either need to, if you want to pay your full $40 in full, great, you're welcome to. Then you're done, everything's complete. That's a great option. You're protected against any currency devaluation there that may happen post October. So that might be your preference if you have access to $40. Alternatively, you need to pay your first monthly payment by then of $5. And I know that right now the first set of comms is going out to those who have already been accepted, completed the applications, and have clicked on enroll. And so if you're wondering, where's my opportunity to make my first payment? I've already done everything that I need to do. Look out for a communication around that, and there will be 2 separate links that you can follow, either to pay in full or to pay the $5, whatever your preference is. And so obviously I think we'd strongly recommend that if you kind of feeling a little bit anxious about that, you go and get that done as quickly as possible, and then your enrollment will be confirmed as a fully paid enrolled learner. If you are going for that monthly payment journey, as I said, that first payment will be due on the 6th of October, and then subsequent to that, each next payment is due at the end of each month from November onwards. Okay, so payment 2 will be due by the 30th of November. Payment 3 will be due by the 31st of December, etc., etc., etc. And again, what you'll find is all of those payment reminders and the kind of link to go and pay in our kind of payment portal, all of that will be made quite clear and easy for you to go and fulfill in our various kind of systems that we have in place for you guys. Yeah, so and I guess maybe finally, if you haven't yet completed your application and haven't yet enrolled, obviously go and get that done first, and then a payment communication and link will follow probably a few days after you've completed that. Kuda, did I miss anything?
No. So what I'll ask you to do, there's one question that you left out, which has just been asked, but we will then do a summary of what you said together. There's a few people who've asked, so in total, how much would someone have paid during the first portion of the Pathway program?
So it's $40 and 2 options: pay that upfront or pay that in 8 installments of $5. Although actually there could be variations of that. You could start to the monthly payment of $5 and then decide in month 2 that I actually want to pay 2 or 3 or 4 months more in one go. So that there'll be flexibility around that. Again, we understand that particularly in some African countries, Nigeria, Ethiopia, Egypt all come to mind. There have been some recent devaluation events that aren't great, obviously, for people living in those countries, and anyone who's concerned that something similar is going to happen again or in their country later this year or early 2025 may well want to prepay as much of their $40 as they possibly can in advance, and
Okay.
you will be able to do that.
Okay, so let's tie it up neatly in a bow so that we can have a clear picture. So I'll take you through a journey of an applicant, and then you just apply or stick in the payment journey. So I go to www.alxafrica.com and I go to the Pathway page. I start an application. I go through the wonderful experience that Talent has designed for us. And then in terms of payment, what then happens now from there, Pete? When I finished my application, I qualified, what now happens?
Finish the application, you qualified, you confirm your enrollment, and then now you wait. What we're going to be doing is consolidating a list of fresh enrollees twice a week from now until application deadline, right? And every time we consolidate that new fresh list of new enrollees, we will send out a communication around payment. So that's just something to look out for on your email that you use to register on our portal, and it will be crystal clear what to do when you receive that email.
So I qualify, I confirm, and then I wait for a decision email that will have next steps that includes payment.
Correct. No.
And then when I want to now pay, what do I have to do?
Now, when you want to pay, you go into that email and you follow one of the two links that will then take you to our payment portal, and you'll be able to then choose your preferred method, mobile money, cards, bank transfer, etc., and basically just follow the instructions on the screen.
Can I
No,
switch?
okay. Yeah, I mean, sorry, one thing I do want to clarify is that there is a possibility that we will build in an automatic kind of link that gets sent out as you enroll. But for now, the process is that we're going to be sending out those emails every 2 weeks. So sorry, not every two per week.
Okay. And so, well, if I decide I want to pay monthly, or if I decide I want to pay the full $40 upfront, I will have those options available?
Correct. Yeah, we'll make it very clear. If you, in option 1, follow this link, option 2, follow that link.
And if I wanted to, at any given point, let's say I started doing monthly payments and I just wanted to complete the rest of the payments, I could make the switch?
Correct. So we have a portal that's currently being finalized called the eHub, and post course starting, you will be able to go and manage your payments in the eHub, including choosing to pay 2, 3, 5, 8 months in advance, whatever suits you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Pete. I'm sure anyone else, if you have more questions on payment, I'm sure that we'll be able to answer them. We do have Mohammed and Damfe who are currently replying people live in the chat. So it's not some random people who are replying you. Those are ALX staff who are also participating in answering these questions in the chat. So just to bring Talent and Kwesi back to the center stage, I have a question that's here from Yiz Irakoze, all the way from Rwanda. And he's asking, how long will the, no, sorry, that's not the first question that he asked. He asked, will you be guaranteed a scholarship at the end of doing Pathway Foundations?
Yeah, thanks for that question. So not necessarily. There are very different scholarship opportunities at different universities. Some have more spaces than others. Our work here at ALX is to help connect you with as many of those as possible and give you the highest possible opportunity. And so the benefits really of coming through the Pathway Foundations is that you are accessing scholarships that are not available to anyone outside of the ALX Pathway Foundations. And so it's not a guarantee, but you are essentially heavily increasing your chances. And you will have access to at least one of the university partners who we are connected with as well.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that. I'm sure a lot of people were curious about that. Another question that's come, I think, Kwesi, that you can also answer, that's kind of like an add-on to that, is just a clarification on the sequence of application. So we have another David who's asked a question about, do you have to apply to the universities first before you do Pathway, or you get into Pathway first and then apply to the universities? What is the sequence? How do you prepare yourself to go through the program?
Yep. So pathway comes first. You go through term one, as we've spoken about, with foundations of entrepreneurship and college algebra. During term two, there are university applications then that go on during that time. And so step number one, before you're even thinking about universities or anything, is to come into the ALX foundations and start getting that prep ready, because we also help to support you through that application process.
Okay, awesome. I think I will throw in another question that's there. And this is more to speak to the choices some people have to make when deciding to want to go on the Pathway program. We have a few people asking questions about the 50 hours a week that are committed. Some are saying it's too much. Some are saying, is this really true? Some other people are asking, what if you can't meet those 50 hours? Can you speak more to the autonomy that is surrounding the 50-hour commitment that is prescribed for doing the foundations program?
I can, yeah. So yeah, it's there's a lot that goes into getting ready for this next step of the program, and it is quite intensive. Those who have been part of ALX programs before, and some of you who are applying here may have done some of our shorter courses before, will be able to speak to the fact that it's a full-time program, which is why this is being targeted at people who are graduating from high school. It's not being targeted at people who are already working, already in jobs. If you are part of that demographic who are already working, you have jobs, we've got a whole suite of other programs that would work so much better for you because they are shorter. You're not going for a degree. You're kind of coming in for something very concrete and leaving. For this, it is a long-term commitment that you're making. And when you go on to university, I know in my university experience, I was spending a lot of time, maybe less time than I should have been, but a lot of time on classes every week. And so that's the commitment we're looking for. It's a long-term commitment that takes a lot. And that's what we're asking for right from the beginning.
Thank you. Thank you for clarifying that, Kwesi, because I think that a lot of the times whenever someone makes a decision to do something, it is important that you think through all factors, whether your time, your finances, your commitments are all in place. And it even starts right with where Talent was talking about an 100-hour, 100 minutes, sorry, apologies, application process, which is something that you do need to commit a little bit of time for. And if you think about what you're being prepared for, which is the steps you'll be taking in the future, that's going to continually be testing you. So at every given step, ALX has always has a reputation of creating experiences in everything that we do to prepare you for the challenges that are going to be ahead, hence our mantra, do hard things. So it is something that you always need to talk about. And thank you, Kwesi, for clarifying that. I have two very important questions, Kwesi, and I think these ones are very, very critical for us to answer in this session. And we have Ernest, who's asked, if someone has completed professional foundations and a Tech Live program like backend web development, does that person still need to participate in the Pathway Foundations course?
Yes, they do. So the professional foundations does give you a very good base. And if you've done one of our Tech Live programs, you've already seen some of the software engineering type stuff. But you saw that in professional foundations, in Pathway Foundations, we've got elements of professional foundations, plus algebra, plus business finance, plus intro to venture creation, plus college prep. So it's not a one-to-one. There will be some similarities, especially in term one, with a lot of the 8 meta skills. If you've already done professional foundations, you'll be familiar with, and hopefully you even be a resource to your other peers around you. You could even take on more of a leadership role in the class during that first term. But you'll find quickly that there will be new material coming your way by the time you're hitting term two, even in term one with college algebra, unless you've also taken algebra somewhere, but it was not with us. But this is the first time we're offering it.
Okay, so the answer is yes. Pathway Foundations is a standalone course which you'll need to go into, even if there are some similarities with other courses that you've taken. This is something that you still need to go through as a prerequisite. Thank you for clarifying that. Another clarification point, Mr. Quace, which is very important, is what is the hub criteria, asked Mr. Swank Music. Do I have to be there every day? Considering that I have an actual job that requires me to be there because that's how I pay my bills, what are the criteria and stipulations, for hub attendance?
And that is so real. And I think that will be the reality for a lot of prospective learners. Thankfully, you don't need to be in every day. This is a primarily online program, and we've got a lot of online and community programming. We are requiring that you come into the hubs 3 times a month. And so that's about at a rate of once a week. But we want to allow a little bit more flexibility. And so, and part of the reason we're doing this is because, as I mentioned before during the presentation, the hubs are not an add-on. The hubs are a critical part of what we're doing here. The community building, the speaker series that we run there, all the things that the hub coordinators are putting together are very much a part of the learning. They are not something by the wayside. So yeah, 3 times a month, we'll ask people to come in. You don't have to come in every day. And so if you can come in, for example, on a Saturday 1 week, maybe a Tuesday 1 week, and then maybe the next week you don't come in, then the week after you come in on a Friday, that is completely fine. We want to give that flexibility, but we do want that frequent touch points with the hubs.
Awesome. Thank you for clarifying that. And I'm sure, there'll be more questions around hub attendance, which I'm sure if you have something specific to ask about a hub that you are in the city of, you can also ask those questions if you still want to get some clarification for that in the chat. Let me allow Talent to unmute her microphone. I've got a couple questions for you here, Talent. We have a gentleman here who says that he got his high school certification 10 years ago. And of course, it's still relevant. Is he allowed to apply for Pathway?
Yes, he is allowed to apply. So it's not only recent high school graduates, so it's anyone who's graduated. We don't have a time frame to say if you graduated only 2 years ago, that's where you qualify. So anyone with a high school certificate qualifies. So for example, there are even people that have bachelor's degrees or first degrees that they already have, and they are interested in the program. Maybe they want to career shift or pivot, study another field. You're welcome to apply for this program. You do qualify as long as you then apply for the bachelor's degree, because this is for bachelor degrees, right? So you would then be taking a bachelor's or undergraduate program for a specific field. So it's mostly for those that really have an interest in like pivoting in their careers. But high school graduates, any year is welcome.
Okay. And just to clarify, those degrees will be taken with partner universities. We won't be offering those degrees, correct? Talent?
You mean transfer of credit for?
No. I'm saying where will that degree be done? Like I'm just asking you to clarify that we don't actually offer degree programs at ALX, that those will be done with our partner universities, as you are speaking
Correct.
about thinking of your qualification with a future focus.
Definitely.
So another question for you, Talent, is it okay to apply for the Pathway program when you're already in another ALX program?
No. So we encourage people to commit to one program at a time. So unfortunately, you cannot participate in 2 programs at one go. As you saw the requirements in terms of 50 hours per week, the different programs also have like really rigorous requirements in terms of commitment for you to see the program through. So we encourage participants to see through one program at a time and then apply for the next program once they are done with the first program.
Okay, so one program at a time, and that is just a general stipulation for any ALX path that you are going to take. Is that correct, Talent?
100%, yes.
Okay. So I think another question that's similar to some that have been coming around, and I think this one comes back to you, Kwesi. A question that's been asked here is that you mentioned college algebra and software engineering as part of the curriculum. Is there a pathway program for people who have an interest in STEM fields? So are you able to tailor make your foundations experience based on interest, or is the foundations experience fixed?
So that is an ambition for the future. For this first cohort, what I presented is what will be available, what will be presented. As we move into the future, we have lots of directions that we're looking to move into, more of the STEM fields, digital creative arts, cybersecurity. There's all sorts of exciting areas that we're working on for the future. For now, we are starting with what we have, what I presented.
Okay, cool. And I think just another summation of questions, Mr. Pete. coming back to you, people there's a combination of questions that are surrounding what are you when you pay your full $40, is there a discount for those who choose to want to pay the full amount right off the bat?
So Peter's not here, but I can answer that one.
Right, sorry.
No worries. No, it's still $40. What you are protecting against is future fluctuations in currency. So you're essentially locking that in. If you choose to pay kind of a little bit at a time, you may be susceptible to kind of currencies moving up and down. And so that's what you're protecting against there.
Okay, and then I'm sure, Kwesi, you can answer this question as well, somewhat payment related. So after you pay and you finish pathways, this is the question that was coming from Kwame. After you pay and you finish your foundations, then what? Do you then get invitations from our partner universities, or do you have to go find the partner universities? What's the process after you finish payment and you finish foundations?
Yes, so keep half an eye on our website. We've already started to post some of our partner universities there, and we're going to keep on. That list is only going to keep growing. And so that was essentially the menu that you can pick from if you want some of the special scholarships, preferential rates, all that kind of thing. Those partner universities within our network come through us. So you don't have to go looking for them; they'll be right there.
Yeah, and just to clarify a little bit more on that, please always continuously be checking our website as we continue to add partner lists. Please also note that you are able to apply. So please clarify this, Mr. Kwesi. When you are doing foundations, when you can apply, you can start applying to our partner universities from the second term. So that's after the first 15 weeks, correct?
That is correct.
Nice. And so at what point do you then have to make a commitment to completing an application process with one of our partners? If I say at week 15, I lock in with the partner, and then maybe now halfway through my second 15-week stint, I want to change my mind and so on and so forth. Am I locked in? Am I stuck? What happens?
You are not stuck. And the way that's not even the way university applications work. So generally, when you apply, there's a bit of a lag before you hear back. So during that application window, you can apply to as many as you want. If you are changing your mind, you can apply to a different one. You're not locked into any decision you make until you decide to actually enroll with a partner. Unless, of course, you're doing some kind of early decision, in which case you would get locked in much earlier. But for any regular decisions, yeah, you have more flexibility.
You have more flexibility. Thank you so much, guys.
Sorry, if I could just add one thing to that,
sure.
Just before we drop, is that I think it's really important. Some of the way I've heard some of the questions framed, it seems like there's a lot of there are a few nerves about how to go through this process. I want to reassure people that we are with you every step of the way. The whole reason we've designed this program is that we are guiding you step by step. And if you have questions, you will know who to call on. This is part of why we have city hubs. You can go into a hub and literally talk to a human being about what it is you are going through. We have people online. In the room with me now, there are people from the curriculum design team, from city teams, and all of them have come together to make sure that you have the best experience possible. So definitely don't feel like you are alone.
Awesome. And I actually was not closing, Kwesi. I was actually just about to ask you if you and Talent would be able to extend just for an extra maybe 5 minutes. There are some key questions that are still coming in. And I'm sure that if you guys could just spend a little more time, it would be greatly appreciated. And just so is that okay for us to extend a little bit more time?
Absolutely.
5 minutes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And for those of you who might still have questions even after the stream has closed, you are welcome to leave them on the stream. We will have customer support come in and take some of those questions and address them. We will also be creating a number of content series for you guys to be able to get answers to some of the grouped questions that you have. So I think this may have been a Pete question, but I'm sure, Kwesi, you could do your best to assist us with this one. So someone paid for Pathways already. They paid the $40, but they are not in a hub city. What process do they now need to go through in order to either get their money back, or could they still participate in the program? What options are available for them?
I see. That unfortunately is a Pete question. For that person, if you could just kind of record that person's name, we can look into getting back to them on a more individually about that. And sorry to hear about that. Thank you for paying though. We appreciate you.
No, I think just if with all those kind of payment questions, we will have to create, there will be more visibility that's coming on our website to answer a lot more of these questions. So as mentioned, and also as Kwesi has just supported, if you have any more payment questions, please just don't worry. You can put them on the stream. We will make sure that we address them as we go forward. Kwesi, this is, however, a question that is relevant for you, which is, someone is trying to understand where the ongoing support comes in and how it looks like. So they're saying, I'm not good at algebra. Will you be able to help me with my algebra? Some people said, is this familiar, or is this similar to counseling services that are offered for university prep and to go to different countries? When you say we're with you step by step, could you be more clear on what that actually looks like?
I can. So there's a few different avenues for support. The first is our curriculum itself. And so for those who are familiar with ALX curriculum, you would know that our curriculum is designed in a way to be very active, and we're essentially breaking things down step by step. So there's never something you're submitting that you have not practiced before. And so you are constantly kind of trying. So it's embedded in the curriculum. The other routes are through our technical mentors. So for every course, we have technical mentors who you can access, who will be able to help you. We'll have some who are dedicated to algebra, for example, for statistics, people who already have experience. In this way, you'll be able to reach out to for help. Your peers, of course, are going to be a huge port of call. And then we have our delivery team specialists who and our program managers who are mostly online and supporting you in that way, in addition to, of course, people in the hubs themselves. So to summarize, it's the curriculum itself, it's the technical mentors, and it's the program and community specialists also around. So lots of different avenues in addition to your peers. So lots of different avenues to support the curriculum.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Thank you. I think there's a wonderful question from one of our esteemed learners, Usama El Hajami. Don't know if you know that learner at all, but he was asking about hub attendance in particular. So more specifically, you know, you did clarify that you need to go 3 times a month, but how long do you have to spend there? If I go there, high five the receptionist and I leave, have I attended, or do I need to sit at least for an hour, drink a cup of coffee and then leave, or what is hub attendance?
Yeah, definitely don't walk in, high five and leave. We will know, and it will not be recorded. We recommend at least a couple of hours each for each visit. Of course, that can fluctuate depending on the event. Maybe you're going for an event in a hub that's only lasting an hour. Maybe some last a little bit longer, but an hour or two is the recommended minimum.
Okay, so at least 2 hours is the recommended minimum. Okay, and
Correct.
I think we also have another question from a very enthusiastic learner, Francesca. This one is for talent. What happens if, you know, I apply and I'm above 23 years old? Are you still going to admit me? Am I allowed to enroll? Because it is being said that, you know, 18 to 22 is the sweet spot. It has been said for recent high school graduates. So if I'm above 23, what happens to me?
You're still welcome as long as you are 34 years old and below. So 23 and above, you still qualify to apply for the program.
Awesome. So nothing happens to me. I don't get turned away. I can just carry on. I just have to make sure that I am actually able to do the program.
Correct.
Okay, sounds great. And I think the last question that we can ask as we are closing for today, as we said, for those of you who are listening live during this call, you can continue to ask your questions on the live stream. We will package and answer them in different ways. What I would like to say for the last question is, what is the primary mode of learning for the Foundations program? Is it online or is it in person? And can I choose whichever one I want.
Thanks for that. I can take that. So we use a hybrid model. It is both. It's a combination of both, and they work together. It is not just online. It is not just in person. It is both of them. As you've mentioned, we are requiring that you come in at least 3 times a month. Of course, you can come in more. And those in-person experiences in the hubs are critical because they're all about building community with peers, getting that full ALX experience, supplementing your learning, having peer sessions. We're going through speaker series. We bring in experts from the industry all the time. And when I say we bring in experts from the industry, these are not just little side events. The experts who are coming in are generally related to something you're going through in your curriculum. So for example, if you're learning Python, maybe bring in some kind of senior Python people who work in Python from one of the major companies to come and speak about their experience learning that, working in it. So very, very industry relevant events that are scheduled throughout. So it is both primarily online, but with a big in-person element to help support and supplement that.
Thank you so much. And thank you to our speakers, Kwesi and Talent. More importantly, thank you to all our viewers who came in to watch in real time for us to be able to enjoy this experience and share more on the Pathways program. This recording will be permanently on our YouTube page. We'll also, edit the page, edit the video so that you can be able to access answers quicker when we start disseminating those on our website as well as our social media. So please be on the lookout. And again, just to reiterate, if there are any questions that you still have from the stream, please continue to add them to the chat. And what I will say in conclusion is that for those of you who are curious about the ALX Pathway program, we hope that you have found some answers that you were burning and allowing you to maybe finish your application or to start an application. For those of you who've already applied and enrolled, I hope you're excited now. There's a little more clarity on what you stand to get. And for those of you who are still to finish their application, hopefully today was a little bit of inspiration and motivation for you to finish your application. The Pathway program essentially is ALX Africa continuing our work of providing access to young people in Africa to opportunities to make them globally challenging, to be able to make them global participants in the world, to be able to improve their lives, to also improve the lives of their community. And so the design of the ALX experience is already something that is amazing. You'll have access to hubs where you'll be able to meet other peers and you can start your network. You never know, the next big business is waiting for you at the Accra hub. So don't high five people and leave. Make sure you connect and you talk to people. You make sure that you also get involved with the different elements of learning that you're going to be getting, the 8 meta skills that allow you to be able to access different parts of yourself, to be able to learn more about yourself. The best preparation for life is a better knowledge of yourself. And so there's many things that we continue to tailor. There's many things that are still to come. Partners will become accessible and you'll be able to start hearing announcements of those soon. And you'll be also getting more and more information on the Pathway experience. So I strongly encourage you to finish your application and to make sure that you go through the process as best as you can. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. We hope you have a good evening. From us at ALX, we thank you. Have a good night. Okay, we're done. We have closed off the live stream. Thank you so much.